You think your crypto account is safe because you enabled two-factor authentication, and you only use trusted exchanges. Think again. In 2021, a single tech operator built a perfect digital mirror of a major exchange, convinced victims they were speaking with customer support, and emptied wallets worth $37 million. He bought 18 luxury homes, a Porsche, a Lamborghini, and lived across continents, until one tiny mistake on Instagram cost him everything. This is the story of Chirag Tomar, how the scam worked, why it nearly fooled everyone, how investigators finally caught him, and most important, how you can make sure it never happens to you. Before we begin, hit subscribe and ring the bell. I publish deep dives like this every week, stories that teach you how the world really works. Now let's go. Crypto thieves in 2021 often used hacking bugs or exchange exploits. Tomar's attack was different. This wasn't about breaking code. It was about breaking people. He combined near-perfect UI forgery with refined social engineering. Instead of writing an exploit, he wrote a convincing lie that convinced people to hand over the keys to their accounts. The scale, tens of millions in just months, shows how fragile our trust systems are when design and psychology are weaponized. Tonight we'll reconstruct exactly how he built the trap, how victims walked into it step by step, and the trail he left in flashy cars and penthouse photos that led investigators straight to him. We don't start with a villain. We start with a person who understood two things well: web design and human trust. Chirag Tomar was a technically capable Indian developer with an eye for user interface detail. He knew what trusted looked like to a user: exact colors, precise spacing, the tiny microcopy that most people ignore. He also understood how panic changes decisions, how a carefully timed phone call can turn caution into compliance. He built his fake exchange site not to exploit software, but to exploit behavior. And that's what made him so dangerous. The core tool, a cloned website that looked indistinguishable from Coinbase Pro. Not a sloppy phishing page with misspellings, a pixel-perfect replica. Logos, layout, the login workflow, the drop-down menus, everything matched. Even the error messages behaved like the real thing. How he did it? He registered lookalike domains, mirrored the exchange's static assets, and deployed the fake UI behind short, convincing URLs so the page loaded in browsers exactly the same way. On mobile, the interface fit like it belonged there. Victims who checked were reassured by the visual cues they've been taught to trust. But the site alone wasn't the whole plan. Social engineering turned a convincing page into a functioning theft. Tomar operated, or outsourced, fake customer support lines. They called people claiming suspicious withdrawals, that their accounts were being drained, that immediate verification was required. Here's the dangerous interaction, step by step. The victim notices a login attempt alert, or an email, or the scammer triggers the alert by attempting to log in. The scammer calls, posing as the exchange. The voice is calm, authoritative. They claim to be security. They ask the victim to read a 2FA code, or confirm a one-time token that appears on the clone site. The victim, scared and wanting to stop the theft, reads the code aloud. That single code hands control to the scammer. Within minutes, funds are withdrawn and routed through multiple crypto wallets and mixers to obscure the trail. It's the classic helpful stranger trick, but adapted to two-factor codes and modern UX patterns. Victims describe it the same way. They sounded like the exchange. The site looked real. I thought I was helping. I thought I was stopping someone. Between 2021 and 2023, Tomar's operation drained approximately $37 million from dozens, perhaps hundreds, of accounts. Large traders, ordinary investors, people holding life savings, all were hit. What he did with the money reads like a social media fantasy. He bought 18 luxury properties across multiple jurisdictions, purchased high-end cars, Lamborghini and Porsche among them, and populated his feed with watches, penthouse windows, and first-class flights. This is how many modern criminals behave. They build legitimacy through consumption. Flashy possessions convince others that you are successful, which in turn makes it easier to attract the next mark, the next investor, or the next social introduction. But flaunting the life is also a risk, And it's the mistake that ultimately exposed him. Confidence can be the thief's ally in his undoing. Tomar's downfall came from arrogance. He posted photos. A Lamborghini in a driveway. A new watch on his wrist. Panoramic shots from an apartment. These posts were geotagged or contained recognizable interiors that investigators and vigilant victims used as breadcrumbs. Social media is a double-edged sword for fraudsters. It builds believability, but every image is metadata. On December 20th, 2023, after traveling through the U.S., Tomar arrived at Atlanta Airport. Likely unaware an arrest team had been assembling. The FBI, having connected the dots between victims' reports, blockchain traces, and social evidence, was waiting. He was detained at the gate. Over the next months, court filings, and his later guilty plea, revealed the mechanics we've just described. Family assets in India were frozen. Victim statements and blockchain analyses formed the backbone of the prosecution. Catching a crypto thief is part technical, part old-fashioned police work. Investigators used blockchain analysis to track coin flows through mixers and exchanges, isolating clusters of addresses linked to theft. Victim interviews to establish consistent MO, the same phone phrasing, the same fake support behavior, the same UX clues. Digital forensics to map domain registrations, server locations, and the email accounts used to manage the clone pages. Open source intelligence, OSINT, to link social posts to property records and travel itineraries. The result was a converging timeline. Money flows outward. Images and travel suggest the perpetrator's location. Victims identify the phone scripts. Together, they created a case strong enough for warrants and arrests. He pleaded guilty to wire fraud conspiracy in May 2024 and received a federal sentence in October 2024. India's authorities froze roughly $5.9 million in family assets, but most of the stolen crypto remained dispersed or converted. What makes this scam terrifying isn't just the dollars. It's the method. Tomar weaponized human trust. He exploited cognitive shortcuts, trust in visual design, trust in authority, trust in the helpful voice, to override rational suspicions. 3 psychological vulnerabilities.